Just imagine a world without boundaries. Here's a conversation that may look familiar. Hey, did you see that speech on the news last night? The one about cutting taxes? I thought that guy was brilliant. Yeah, I saw it, but I'd have to disagree with you there. We need taxes. They pay for everything. So, taxes are crazy high. Don't you think something needs to be done about that? Yeah, well, you're just not making a logical point. Are you forgetting everything that needs to be paid for? And I will stop there because we all know how this argument ends. Maybe you've had an argument like this, not about taxes necessarily, but just any heated argument in general. Maybe it was out loud, maybe it was in your head. Whatever the case, it's not fair. And before I elaborate, let me dive deeper into what this argument is really about. I would say that any irritating point in conversation is a boundary. Now, think to yourself, what's the first thing that comes into your mind when you think of the word boundary? I would define it as simply anything that can hold you back. And there's no limit to the type of boundaries that are out there. Physical, emotional, and tons more that I'm sure could be listed out. But a specific boundary that I'm talking about that could be in person or over social media is a conversational boundary. Not long ago, I was working on a project with a group, and somehow the topic of politics came up, and one of the girls made a very rude, unnecessary joke, making fun of some things that I actually happen to believe, and I was offended by her comment. I could have gotten upset, I could have defended myself, but a couple of things held me back. For one, I did not want to turn this lighthearted conversation into an intense argument. And secondly, there was this fear that kept me from voicing my perspective. I had to think to myself, am I going to offend this person, or are they going to judge me based off of what I say? And that's not fair for me, being fearful of speaking up, but it's also not fair for her to not experience the fellowship that conversation brings. And that was a boundary between us. Naturally, I hated experiencing that, and I kept asking myself, is there anything I can do to break down that uncomfortable boundary? Eventually, I came up with 3 things to keep in mind when having a conversation, and noticed that each of these points all revolve around a simple yet essential word: perspective. So, number 1, learn from different perspectives. We should always enter every conversation with an open mind, ready to hear what someone else has to say and to learn from them. And maybe neither of our opinions change, but at least we understand each other better. Number 2, try to find common ground when solving a problem. When you are trying to resolve a conflict with someone, you should be thinking together and looking to compromise, and that includes sharing your perspectives. My final point, number 3, is seek to encourage. When you are being encouraged, you're receiving wisdom and insight from someone. And when you are encouraging someone else, you're giving them your wisdom and insight. Perspective is a key quality when it comes to encouragement. Now, how is it possible to use perspective as a tool when you're afraid to voice your own? But that's exactly my point. We shouldn't be afraid to voice our opinions because disagreement is a good thing. What if we all felt the same way all the time and we all had the same opinions? Think about how boring life would be. However, having these different opinions doesn't mean that we have to be so divided. Division is such a huge issue in today's society, especially now with technology. When we go on social media, that division is intensified. Now, more than ever, we need to apply the statement, agree to disagree, to our lives. And if we can achieve that mindset, plus my 3 perspective points, we can still respect each other, even if our opinions are not the same. And just imagine how that can help break down those boundaries. And I know that it won't happen overnight, but I think it would be an amazing achievement to be able to live in harmony with one another. And this can only begin if we're able to hold a respectful, flowing conversation without fear of voicing our opinions and perspectives. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Carina. I'm from the Atlantic Central District. I am going into my junior year of high school, and I'm just so grateful for Optimist International giving this incredible opportunity. This was just something like I've never experienced before, getting to speak about some things that I'm very passionate about, and to do all of this online. It's absolutely insane. I could thank so many people for their support, but I want to give most of my thanks to my public speaking teacher, Mrs. Kennedy, who is incredible and just helped me every step of the way, and my dad for being an amazing, constant encouragement. And I really enjoyed watching everyone's speech today, so I'm grateful, and yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes.